So it seems like I'm going to be giving you a lot of like chest shots, but that's just the best way I can show you what's going on. Hi everyone, it's Celeste and welcome to my channel. My channel is all about cosplay. I teach you tutorials on how to make the outfit, how to do the makeup so you can become the character of your dreams. Today's cosplay is Black Canary from the Birds of Prey movie. I'm not sponsored, but I've been wanting to make this cosplay forever. Literally, I've been looking at this, referencing details, reading interviews, just to make sure I get this cosplay right. There's a lot of speculation on that she's not really like the Black Canary of the comics, but I think that's okay. I still want this outfit. So because I want this outfit, I'm going to show you guys how I made it. I did use some properties of one of my previous cosplays, that being Battle Bunny Ribbon. We'll get into that later. But if you're new to my channel, thanks so much for coming, and make sure to click that red button down below to subscribe to never miss out on any future cosplay content. If you have any questions, leave them in a comment down below and I'll be sure to answer them. Also, if you just want to say hi and have a friend during this dark quarantine lockdown time, I'm here for you. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive into this video. First, we need the non-demonetization undergarments of the dress. If you remember a few weeks back, I used this yellow satin to create a bunny suit for my Battle Bunny Ribbon cosplay from League of Legends. I will be using the same bunny suit from that tutorial. You can check out that video in the cards or in the description below. Doing a lot of research and reading interviews from the costume designer, I found out that this actually wasn't a bunny suit, but it was a gold bra and gold underpinnings, whatever underpinnings means. Also, the type of lace that they used actually was in large fishnet. No wonder it seems so familiar. I'm going to be using this chevron lace that I've been hoarding for years. In a later video, you'll see what I've been hoarding this fabric for. But for now, just deal with Black Canary. So today we're going to start off with the sleeves first. Look at this glorious fabric. I got this a long time ago at Joann's. Try to go find a nice black lace for this, and then let's go ahead and get measuring. The lace that I have here actually has little bits of gold in it, so you can see it has a little bit of reflection. It'll look so great with the yellow underneath. I chose not to go for something floral like this fabric. It's better if this fabric is more uniform, not flowery at all, and more sturdy. It's okay if you use something like fish netting or something else, but as long as it is black and not floral and isn't too dense. So you want it to be kind of thick, quote unquote, symmetrical. I don't know what the right word is, but you don't want it to be floral because this is what it would look like. You want it to be kind of just like a solid pattern. So here you can see my actual drawing that I have. You see the two sleeves and they're both different sizes. They show here in this picture that it's one hanging and then one here. I'm probably going to just use one long rectangle for this one and then one tight fitting rectangle. Then you see the dress itself, which has a belt. So I'm thinking that I'm going to make it loosely draft around me and then kind of like hook in or snap in here at the hip seam, and then create a bunny suit using Yaya Han's pattern, and then of course it goes all the way down to the floor. First thing I'm going to do is actually cut a strip of this for my neckline and for my armbands. So I'm going to cut 2 inches off. So I'm going to be cutting 5 centimeters, which is the middle of these right here. So here we go. Now with this new little strap, because I'm going to be using this across my body and on my arms, I'm going to fold it over twice at the very edge like this. 1 and then 2 to create this really nice band. And then I'm going to sew it down. I'm kind of worried with this fabric because it is very not fabric-y and holey. Get it? I'm going to take this strip of fabric and wrap it around my bicep, making sure that it's not too tight and not too loose so it stays up. Then I'm going to cut off the excess. I used the newly cut strip for the width of my hanging sleeve. I lined up the open armband to the fabric and cut the same width off of the fabric from the top to the bottom. Bring these 2 pieces of fabric together, make sure that right sides are touching, and then sew it down at the top. I'm using a regular straight stitch, sewing it together. While looking through my treasure trove of broken jewelry and misguided things, I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to use for her bracelet when she sings. It is actually attached to the fabric, so it looks something similar like this with 2 rows of gems on it. Obviously, I could use just both of these bracelets and call it a day, but I use these in most of my League of Legends cosplays. So I will be wearing one of these for this costume, but I do still want it to be attached to something. So I figured out I wanted to use a bangle of choice, but then I thought it was too thin, so I decided to maybe potentially wrap it with some chain. I didn't like that look so much, so I think my final choice will be this broken earring I have long ago. I'm going to be using a bracelet to attach my fabric onto it to turn it into the nice cuff. That way it does not get interfered with this one too much and draw too much attention away from it. It still has the glitz and glam for when she's singing at the club, so I will be attaching this onto it. You can feel free to use a bangle such as this, or you can try finding your other own bracelet that's really shiny and gold and use that instead. Go ahead and try on the sleeve, making sure it fits tightly. Then bring the hanging fabric down to your wrist. This is the point where your bracelet is going to be attached. I'm going to be using a jump ring to attach it. Open the jump ring, slide it onto the fabric, and while it's open, put the bracelet into it and then close the jump ring. For the second sleeve, do the same process as the first one. Wrap your arm to get the right measurement for the bicep. Wrap your hand for the right measurement for the bottom part. Now cut a strip of fabric the length of your arm to the middle of your hand. I'm using my top band as a guide for how wide my piece of fabric should be. With your fabric cut out, pin the top band and the fabric with the right sides facing and take it to the sewing machine to sew it together. For the bottom part, find the center, pin it, and sew it. It's totally okay if you have edges hanging off of the side. It's because you're going to make this smaller anyway. Take your sleeve and fold it in half. Make sure that it fits nice and appropriately at the top, and then the bottom's going to have a little salvage left over. That's okay, because we're actually going to taper the top to the bottom. Because we want our thumb to go through the sleeve, sew a straight line first at the bottom sides. Create an opening by skipping a few inches, and then taper your way all the way up to the edge of the sleeves at the top. Go ahead and try on your sleeve first before inverting it. You want to make sure that this fits nice and snug, but not too snug so you can't put it on. Luckily, I did mine right the first time without having to go back, pinch, pin, and sew, so now I'm going to work on the thumb hole. With the extra scrap pieces of fabric still on top, I'm going to fold over the edges and sew it down, creating a nice thumb hole. With the thumb hole done, I'm going to cut off all the excess on the side, and then I'm going to flip it inside out. With this being done, this concludes the sleeves! Yay! Onto the dress! Now go ahead and take out your fabric, make sure it's facing the right direction, and then go ahead and wrap it around your body, making sure that this will A, go over your chest, and B, go over your waist, and then go ahead and pinch and mark it out. You want this to kind of be like a giant rectangular tube, because that's what some dresses are. Now go ahead and start cutting it out. Fold your fabric tube in half, making sure that the sides are lined up, and then go ahead and sew it down, creating a nice tube sock. It's not really a sock though. You only want to sew down the length of your torso to your waist. So from your bust line at the very top to like about 10 inches. So I like how this is coming out. It's just one giant tube. So one giant tube, we're going to pull it down just a little bit, like here. And then we're going to add a strip of the fabric here and then go across to the back that goes here. So time to cut out a brand new strip. You want to make sure that this tube goes over your head and is comfortable. If not, then you are going to have a problem. So then you might want to install like a hidden zipper on the side so you can put it off and on. I'm not going to worry too much that it doesn't fit exactly just yet because it is going to go on top of the bunny corset. I shouldn't beat up my boobs. So I'm actually going to use my finger to measure how big I want it because I know what it feels like against my body. So I like it this big, so I'm actually going to cut out from this part right here. That way I can fold it over and create a nice hem from one side and then go from the other. So taking out my scissors, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting it from this one. Take this fabric and make sure you find the way that's facing correct for you if you have little chevrons like I do. I'm going to fold over the top part of this so this will become my hem and sew it down. Now that I have this nice big band done, I think it's covering a lot, so it's going to be really thick. So we're going to lower this just a tiny bit, like this. And it's supposed to cover, so what I'm going to do is just lower it to the bust line and start it here. What we're going to do is take the strip that we just sewn, we're going to pin it at the front here. This is my right breast, and then we're going to wrap it all the way around, going all the way around the back, making sure it's nice in one strip. It's okay if it's not pinned down, but make sure it stops right here before the left breast. And then we're going to slowly connect it together like this. and then switch it to go up and become a strap. So we kind of want to just make the strap go like that and go across. So it'll look like that. To make it lay nice and smooth, I decided to top stitch it down, and this way it'll help make the seam lay nicely. So it seems like I'm going to be giving you a lot of like chest shots, but that's just the best way I can show you what's going on. You can see that I have my shirt underneath. I already went ahead and sewed it all together, and I pinned it together so that this little strap will lay flat. We want this strap to lay flat so it goes all the way to the back and not hit both sides. I think it needs to go more towards here at the center, but because it's just me and it's kind of hard to do, I'm just gonna keep it where it is right now. No one's gonna really tell the back because my hair is gonna cover it anyways. I don't think I'll be able to even put the bird tattoo on the back, but if you have someone helping you, get a little cheap tattoo there and do that. So what we're gonna do, what we wanna do is go across and make sure that it goes across your shoulders and your collarbone flat first before you go forward. Once you have it in a spot that makes this lay flat, you want this flat first, and then you want this flat. Once you have that, you can go ahead and proceed. I'm gonna slowly push it into place so it'll lay that way. I'm gonna pin it down. This way it's gonna help pull it. And that way the back side is gonna be nice and flat. You wanna make sure that everything lays nice and flat. And now I'm gonna go ahead and pin it. So now that it's pinned, pin 1, and then we're going to go ahead and pin tightly here so it becomes pin 2. Now that we have that completely pinned, now it just looks a little bunchy here. So we're going to kind of pinch this to make it lay flat. If this material was more stretchy, this doesn't stretch unless it's this way. We want it to stretch that way. It does not. So we're just going to have to work with what we have. So now what we're going to do is kind of just fold it over a little bit, like so. It's going to create like this huge little black part here, but that's okay because she has that on her actual in song club scene. You can see like a giant big black part. So you can kind of play with it and make sure that it lays nice and flat. If you want, you could actually cut this part and sew it so it looks nice and even. I might do that, honestly. Now that I've got that, it's laying nice and flat, just the way we like it. Yes? Right, so that's just the way we like it. We want it to go to the back side now, and we want to take this, make sure it lays nice and flat, and when you're happy with it going across, pull it from your body first. If you have someone next to you, please use them. I am by myself with my bulldog. Now it's just about sewing this together. And when I sew this down, I'm actually going to just sew this line first. I'm going to cut off the rest of this and sew this part together. And then after I sew this part together here, I'm going to cut off the rest of the back part. So I'm going to cut off this little lip. I'm going to cut off this little lip first. And then I'm cutting off the right side piece, extra piece. I decided I didn't want to keep that in. And now I'm just going to sew everything together. With the back piece, I actually have a little bit more of a tail, so I'm just going to cut that off too. Now that I have it on, you can see that it's really pulling, and we don't want that to happen. So this is at its correct spot right here. We're going to find the spot here, and we want to turn this into one single panel. So what I want to do is make sure that I have this spot at the same side, put my fingers there, and feel good. Luckily, I'm already wearing pants, so I can kind of base it off of that. And I will pull this down, make sure that everything fits appropriately before I go ahead and make this cut, which is right here at the side. So I will cut down this line here. All right, now going back. And snip. Now I'm just going to go straight down this line until I reach the floor, except not while wearing it. I realized something a little bit too late after I made this first cut and separated it from itself. I should have cut the bottom hem, and that way it would have been so much easier. I messed up, but now I have to go back, and now I must do that. Alrighty. grab your scissors and figure out how much you need to cut off the bottom hem. It does go kind of down to the ground, but I will be wearing high heels, so it's okay if I have a little bit not on the ground, because this gets stuck on every single dog hair, crumb, crevice, and we don't want that. So what I'm gonna go and do, because it is a little bit too long, I'm gonna put my finger down and I'm just gonna cut right here. And this go along this nice little scallop line. I think it would be nice to have this scallop line versus a straight line. For you guys, go ahead and do this based off of your height and to your ankles when wearing high heels. Look how cool that looks. Yay! Alright, just go ahead and continue doing this all the way down and on the front piece, and then the main body dress part is finished. I can finally take out all these braids. Jesus. How dare you? So I may not be the correct skin color, I may not be the correct hair type, I could potentially get a wig, but you know what? This is my interpretation, this is my take on Black Canary, and I think that's okay because as a cosplayer, you're allowed to have creative freedom. It's okay if it's not 1000%, and sometimes I actually see posts on Twitter saying that cosplay accuracy is privilege, and I think that's true to some extent. So, with that being said, I hope you guys do like this cosplay. If you have any special things that you love about Black Canary or Birds of Prey, leave them in a comment down below. If you have any questions too, go ahead and ask them. I'll be here for you in this dark time of lockdown / quarantine because of the darn pandemic. Also in the future, if you realize that the pandemic isn't happening, yeah, that'd be kind of weird that you get to like hear that entire little spiel. Anyways, I hope you guys check out some of the other videos that I have created here. Click that red button down below to subscribe to never miss out on any future content that I create. If you haven't checked out already, I have a Twitch channel, and that is where I stream video gaming, which actually I love playing video games. So if you guys have any way of being able to go on Twitch, go ahead and check me out there at twitch.tv/CelesteOrchid. That's me, obviously, it's not going to change. And remember to stay inspired, be creative, and I will see you in a future video. Bye!